Hello everybody, this is Vanessa here. How is everybody today? How are you doing? Hi Christoph, hello to everybody. Hope you are all well today. Hi Pauline, hope you are well. Hi Sophie. Hi Daniel, long time no see. Hope you're all well. Yes, I'm very good. Thank you for asking. So thank you all so much for joining today. Hi Sebastian. Hi Diamila. Hi, nice to meet you as well. Yep, so thanks again so much for joining. So for any of you who are new, my name is Vanessa. I'm from a company called Cercle, and we teach English. And we are currently doing a summer series of videos on how to sound more natural in English. So the topic for today, you can see in the title, is talking about the future. So we're not talking about now, we're not talking about last week, last weekend, last year. We're talking about the future. So a question for you all. What are your plans this weekend? So feel free to type, see if anybody's got any exciting plans coming up, even just this week or this weekend. Maybe we can see who has the most interesting plans. So hi Leah, thanks for joining. So I can give you an example for what I am going to be doing this weekend. I'm going to be doing a very French activity. I am going to play pétanque. So in English, we can also call it boules because pétanque is what you call it in French, but we call it a weird French name for some reason in English. Diamala. So, first of all, Sophie, you're going to Paris. Nice. Diamala, I would like to go to the beach this weekend. Fingers crossed that the weather is nice this weekend. Christoph, I'm going to visit a brewery. Oh, very nice. You like to drink beer. Sophie, yes, going to visit Paris. Great. Nice. It seems like you all have very nice plans this weekend. Hello, Paige. So, very interesting. Nice. Okay, so I see a couple of variations on the way that we talk about the future. So can anybody tell me what are the two main ways that we talk about the future in English? So there are two ways which are most commonly used if we want to talk about the future. So nice, Rosanna. I'm going to a concert, a piano concert. Oh, nice. And Leah Jusian, I'm going to see some friends. Nice. Sophie, great. Thank you very much. So when we talk about the future, we can use will. Good. So that's one way that we can use it. Exactly. Nice. And the second way, does anybody want to take a guess? I think some people used it already before. Great, Sophie, thank you very much. Great. I am going to. So usually we say the going to future because obviously if it's he or she or you, then you use a different, you would say he is or she is. Good, great, Diamala as well. Great. So it seems that you guys know the two different futures. So the important thing about using the two different futures is to use them correctly. So knowing when to use which one. So first of all, we are going to talk about when it is correct to use will. So when we use will, one of the instances where we use it is when we are making a rapid decision. So imagine that you think to yourself, I am thirsty, for example. So you want a drink of water, for example. So in that moment, in 1 second, you think that it's probably a good idea to drink some water. You will say, I will drink something. So it's a decision you made in 1 second, a few seconds. So here you use will. So whenever you have a situation and you do something spontaneously in that moment, this is when you use will. Hello, Evelyn. So, would you guys be able to give me an example sentence of a rapid decision? Example of when you use will. So, for example, maybe you are thinking to yourself, I am hungry. So, what could the sentence be after that? Yes, so Christoph, for example, again, if you're thirsty, I'll take a glass of water. Yes, exactly, you'll have a glass of water. And if you are hungry, what could you do after that? Or what could you say after that? So Sophie, I will go to bed early tonight. So maybe you're thinking, oh, I'm tired. So you think, I'll go to bed early tonight. So it's kind of like a spontaneous decision that you made based on your tiredness. Exactly. Good. Sebastian, yes, I'm hungry. I will go to the kitchen. Yes, exactly. And what will you do in the kitchen? Maybe you will get something. Maybe you will make something. It's usually what we do when we go to the kitchen. So great. So Christoph's given a suggestion. I will cook an egg. Great. So we can add it to Sebastian's one. I will go to the kitchen, I will cook an egg. So these are all rapid decisions that you made in a few seconds. Good, perfect. So, everyone's cooking now. I will cook a gratin. I will eat a steak. Yes, exactly. So people like to eat steak. Okay, great. So another instance where you use will is when you are making an offer for something. So imagine that your colleague is carrying something heavy, for example. Maybe your colleague is carrying a box or some books, and it's really heavy. Maybe it's like 10 kilos. What could you say to your colleague to offer help, for example? So what could you potentially say to your colleague? You want to be nice, you want to offer something to your colleague, help. So I will help you. Great. And Christoph, wait a minute, I'll give you a helping hand. Yes, that's a really nice way of saying that. Exactly. So I've said, for example, do you need help? I will help you. So this is my kind offer to my colleague. Great. Nice. Okay. So the next one. So when we make a promise to somebody in the future, we always use will. So for example, imagine that you are maybe speaking to, you're speaking to a client, or you're speaking to a customer, or even if you might even speak to a family member or a friend, for example. These are the people that you might make a promise to. So, maybe at work, somebody asks you, did you send the email, for example? Or if your partner says to you, did you buy eggs, for example? And maybe you did not do it yet, but you promise in the future that you will do something. So, okay, so Rosanna, you said Tom will marry Betty. Yes. So when we think about marriage, we can also think of marriage as a kind of promise as well. So yes, that also works as well. So can anybody give me an example sentence of a promise to either a client or a customer or to a friend or a family member. So Sebastian, great. I will sign the contract. Exactly. So if you work with clients, you want to hear this sentence. So, or maybe you want to tell one of your colleagues, I will send the email by the end of the day. So this is a promise to your colleague that you will do something. So it's your word and it's a promise. So you can't promise that you will win the future lottery. Exactly. So good one, Paige. Yes. So we all wish to win the lottery, but we can't promise that we will. So Rosanna, Darty will pay me back. Yes. So if you bought something at Darty and it doesn't work, you take it back to Darty and they will pay you back the money. Exactly. Sebastian, great. I will have finished this work before the deadline. Perfect. Exactly. It's a promise that you're making to your manager or to your colleague. Great. So the next one, not such a nice one, but another instance where people use this as well is when you want to give somebody a threat. So in French, menace. So it can be like a small threat, for example, like if you think about when a child, maybe a child doesn't want to eat their vegetables. So you could say, for example, to the child, if you don't eat your vegetables, you won't get dessert, for example. So this is a threat to the child. It's a very small threat, of course, but this is an instance of when we use will, for example. Or another example, imagine that you are talking about your child who is a student. If you don't study for the test, you will fail. So it's like threatening the student, for example. So this is another instance of when we use will. So hopefully that's clear to all of you. If you have any questions, feel free to type in regards to will, and I will answer your questions. So we're going to move on to the next one now. So we've spoken about using will in the future. So now let's talk about using going to in the future. So when do we use going to? So does anybody have any idea about when you can use going to? So nice examples of the threatening from before with will. If you don't finish your tasks, I will fire you. Yes, very threatening. But yes, exactly. So yes, going back to going to, when do we use going to? Does anybody have an idea of when it is appropriate to use the phrase going to instead of will? So maybe I will help you out. I could give you, so before when I asked you about your weekend, for example, a few of you answered with I am going to. So Sophie, you said when we move or travel. Yes, it can be when we move or travel. I would say it's specifically for fixed plans. So for example, imagine that this morning I booked a flight to go to Greece next week. So it's booked, it's confirmed, I received the email, I know when to go to the airport. I am going on holiday next week because it's now a fixed plan. So this is in contrast to this one. So for example, maybe I will go on holiday next year. So here it is not a fixed plan. So here we cannot say going to. It's not for sure. Maybe, maybe not. So this is the difference. So when I asked you about the weekend, a lot of you said, I am going to. And this is good because this means it is a fixed plan and that it's definitely happening. It's definitely a plan. So can any of you give me an example of a fixed plan that you have using the going to construction? So remember, you can also use it in different persons. So of course, you can say, I am going to, but if it's with you and your partner, you and somebody in your family or a friend, we are going to, you can talk about somebody else. Maybe you have a friend doing something interesting. So an example sentence would be great. If you are not feeling shy and would like to write an example. Yes, so Sophie, great. I am going to Paris this weekend. Exactly. Good. So just with weekend, it's just together in English. So nice. Great. So you could say then, if I ask you, what are you going to do in Paris? And then maybe you're not sure of your plans. So then you would switch to will again. So you could say, maybe I will do this, maybe I will do that, but I am going to eat at this restaurant. And that's a fixed plan or something you will, that is happening in Paris this weekend. Christoph, I'm going to visit a brewery because they have a new beer. Exactly. Nice. Perfect. Great. So that's your plan. Okay, Josiane, Leah, so I am going to see my friends this weekend. Yes, exactly. It's a plan and you made it. So great, perfect, nice. So Sebastian, I'm going to my office today. Exactly. We are going to work hard this month. Yes, Rosanna, exactly. Today is the 1st of September. It is in English, we say back to school season. So in French, you say la rentrée. So yes, we are going to work hard this month. September is a good month for working hard. I'm going to visit my daughter this Saturday. Exactly. Great. Perfect. Nice. So the second instance when we use going to is when we are talking about something with evidence or signs. So for example, imagine that your phone is has low battery. So you can see that it is 1% battery. So the evidence, the sign is that it is going to turn off soon. So it's a fact. You know that this is the future for your phone. So if you have some kind of evidence, then you can use going to. But if you are not sure, then you should use will. So Josiane, maybe I will go to Portugal next year. So with that sentence, you use will because it's unsure. So whenever you use words like maybe or perhaps, you use will. So like I said, if we have evidence or we have signs of something, we can use going to. But for example, often when you have maybe official documents talking about the future, then you have to use will because we do not have evidence of the future, for example. Or at the moment, when we talk about coronavirus or COVID, they will use will because, we are unsure of what is happening in the future. So going to, there must be evidence of something. So just a quick question. So do you think that, so Paige, yes, maybe tomorrow I am going to the office. So here you would say, maybe tomorrow I will go to the office. But I hope you are going to the office. Your manager hopes so, I believe. Okay, great. So let's ask a few questions to test your knowledge if you were listening to me. So let's imagine that you are watching a football match. So the score is 6-0 and there are 5 minutes left in the game. So let's imagine it's Man United who are playing. So what would you say? Would you say Man United are going to win, or do you say Man United will win? So based on everything I said before, which one do you think it is? So you have a 50-50 chance of getting it right. So, Rosanna, we will lose the match. Sophie, maybe Man United will. Christoph, are going to. So, yes, my husband is going to a meeting next week. Evelyn, yes, that is correct. It's set in stone. Yes. So the correct answer is going to. Yes, so Christoph and Daniel, well done. So the idea is that the evidence or the signs are there. So Man United have 6 points. The other team have 0 points. There's only 5 minutes left in the game. So I think it's impossible for the other team to score 6 or more points in 5 minutes. So the evidence is that they are going to win. We can see it. But maybe at the beginning of the game, maybe Man United are playing well. Then you could say maybe Man United will win. So you will continue to watch the game and then see. And then when you have 5 minutes left, it's obvious there is only one winner. So, yes. Okay, great. So now let's imagine another scenario. So your colleague asks you if you did a task, but you plan to do it later. So what could you say? How could you respond to your colleague? So are you going to say will, or are you going to say going to? Which do you think is more appropriate in this situation? So what is the potential sentence you could say? Yes, so Rosanna and Sophie both say I will. Exactly. Yes, Christoph. Yes. Yes. So in this case, you could potentially use both. So it depends on your intention. So if it's something that you maybe have in your agenda that was a fixed plan, you could say, I am going to do it in a way that is like, oh, it's scheduled and I'm not going to do it right now at this moment. But if you plan to do it spontaneously in the moment that your colleague then asks you, then you will say, I will do it. And Sebastian, here you have the promise factor coming in. So I will have it finished by tonight. Great, nice. So a final question for you. So when we talk about the weather, so the weather, we can use both types of future when we talk about the weather. But what is the difference between saying it will rain versus it is going to rain? Why do we say two different things. So what is the difference? So you could take one of the examples if you like and try to explain it. It will rain is not in a few minutes. Yes, you're getting close to it. Yes, that's good logic, Sophie, exactly. So Rosanna, yes, it will rain, perhaps. Yes, so using words like maybe and perhaps, it's always going to be will, exactly. It will rain, it's a possibility, it's a probability, yes. So if you use will, you're talking about the rain at the moment. So it's the other way. So if you say going to, it's probably coming sooner. So it's will, it's possible that it rain, and going to, you are sure. Exactly, great. So Christoph, it's going to rain, you see the clouds and rain is near you. Perfect, exactly. So when you use will, like some of you already said, maybe you use a word like maybe or perhaps, or maybe you are watching the weather forecast on TV, for example. So when you watch the weather forecast on TV, they will say will, because it is a prediction. So the weather is always a prediction. It's a good prediction, but actually we don't have evidence because the weather can always change. So it is always maybe or a possibility. So we use will. But in the example that Christoph said, so imagine that you look at the sky and you see a lot of clouds, and sometimes you can feel that the air is changing. It feels different in the air. So at that point, you kind of have evidence of that it's going to rain. So in that case, you would use going to. So imagine you are outside and you start to have this feeling, the clouds are there, you feel the cold air, and you say, it's going to rain, I don't have an umbrella. This is the precise moment when you say going to. But often with the weather, if we're talking about it tomorrow, if we're talking about it next week, you will say will. So for example, there will be a heat wave next week. So I wish, but we don't know. Maybe there will not be a heat wave, so a canicule, but who knows? It's a high probability it will happen. So with the weather, we often use will, but you can use I'm going to in some instances. Okay, so we just have a few minutes left, so it would be great to finish off if you could all write an example sentence using whichever future that you want to use. Maybe you want to talk about a future plan. Maybe you want to talk about what you're doing next week, or maybe what you are doing this month, because it is the back to school season, la rentrée. Maybe you have some interesting plans coming up in September, perhaps. So I can start. So for example, I am going to Bordeaux in 2 weeks. Oh no, so not in 2 weeks, sorry. I am going to Bordeaux in 3 weeks. So I'm using I am going to because it's planned, it's a fixed plan. So it would be great if you guys could also share some example sentences on your plans or things that you maybe or perhaps want to do this month. So just to finish off. Yeah, so Daniel is going to have a new class in English next Thursday. Exactly. So it's planned, so it's fixed and it's in the calendar. Perfect, exactly. Anybody else have any examples? So, yes, Sophie, I think the weather won't be nice in Paris this weekend. I think it will be okay. Not great, but better than last week. So, yes, Francis, exactly. I will go to the beach if the weather is good. Exactly. Great. Perfect. In September, I will move to my son's house. Yes, exactly. Good. Nice. So, great. Perfect. Okay, so I'm going to work harder on my English the next few months. Yes, Rosanna, it's good to use I am going to, not I will. It's not maybe, it's perhaps, it's I'm going to. Very strong. Nice. Evelyn, it will rain tomorrow. Exactly. Maybe. We will see. I hope not. Great. So thank you all so much for your example sentences. So that's it from me today. So thank you all so much for your participation. You all did a really good job. So for any of you who do not know, these YouTube lives are run by a company called Cercle, and we offer English lessons. So feel free to have a look at our YouTube. We have previous videos from other weeks, and also feel free to look at our website as well. So thank you very much for joining, and hope you all have a lovely evening. Thank you, and bye-bye.